Yeah, so we can start right now after the technical start. And as you've heard, the topic of my presentation is kind of an introduction for the German energy policy and the changes during the last years, coming from mainly based on a fossil fuel energy system and more focus on renewables and energy efficiency by speeding up or having a focus on the innovation pipeline. So my agenda for today and the next round about 20-25 minutes is to give you a very short introduction about the project management Juelich, the organization I'm leading, the organization and energy and climate, and perhaps a few sentences to my person. Then I will start to give you a short orientation about the German energy policy, the goals, and then the discussion we have in Germany during the last couple of years, perhaps 10 years, 12 years, about how to think from the end and what could be the steps toward the energy system of the future. And I will end with some remarks about the energy research, development, innovation support, the public funding we have established so far. And hopefully you get some information and some input for your topic of today, with the changes in heating, cooling of buildings and in the local municipalities. So the project management Juelich, or we call it in Germany Projektträger Juelich, we have three main focus in our work: identifying trends, supporting research, innovation, and creating the future, as you can see in this first slide. But I will focus only on some information about the topic 2, supporting research and innovation. That is perhaps the most important information for you today, as we are kind of a service agency, especially for ministries in Germany, to help them on national and European funding programs, to manage these funding projects from the very start to the very end of the projects, to evaluate applications, and also to progress audits and the use of funds and exploit new the results of such programs. So we're kind of a service agency in the German research, development, innovation field. We have 3 business areas. The first is energy and climate. The second business area is about sustainable development and innovation. The third is more in the region of North Rhine-Westphalia, research and society in North Rhine-Westphalia. It's in the western part of Germany, the big area of large industry and very important economic place for us in Germany. On the left side, this topic, energy and climate. I'm leading this business area since 2 years now, and we have the whole topics of the energy and climate change discussion, energy efficiency, renewables energies, of course, the support, but also smart energy showcases. I will come up to this later a little bit. We have the topic of electric mobility, hydrogen and fuel cells, but also system analysis or multiple climate protection programs. So the full range of energy and climate topics and the support in the innovation pipeline. I have a background in economics, worked for several years in the German energy industry, from classical energy production industry, but also in the renewables and in the industry for transporting and organization the gas infrastructure in Germany. Coming to our topic, the orientation and the German energy policy, and what are the discussions we usually have and the goals we are focusing during the last or all the years, last decades, and research and development and innovation policies. A lot of you will heard about this, what we call the magic triangle of the energy policy. It's the discussion between the goals and future orientation on the one side, security of supply, the other side, economics or economical goals for the whole economy, but also environmental sustainability. So these 3 goals, building up this what we call the magic triangle. And of course, during the last decades, we had a lot of changes in finding the right future strategy in these 3 goals we have. If you look some decades back on the history, It was first development of a more centralized or strong centralized, but also strong hierarchical power system, but also system of gas supply. Of course, we were based on on fossil resource, but also on national resources like brown coal. We had perhaps 2 or 3 decades with nuclear research, but also the use of nuclear energy, which changed in Germany perhaps 15, 20 years ago now. We had first proof of concept in renewable energies going back to the 1980s. But it took more than 10 or 15 years later to start again with the Renewable Energy Act, at that time, the late 1990s, but also the energy market liberalization, what we call a kind of a Big Bang liberalization at the end of the 1990s, was a big change for all the players in this industry. We have a long discussion about what will be the right, what we call bridge technologies, from the classical energy system into a 100% renewable energy system. We have the goal to end in primarily power system with 100% renewable energy, but in total to be 2045 kind of a climate neutral society or economy. Today, as you can imagine, with the attack on the Ukraine and the discussion about security of supply in the natural gas sector, there's again a very strong debate about the topics of security of supply in Germany and how the shift to renewables can help us to have a stronger security of supply and to phase out the natural gas during the next years, step by step. So coming back to our strategy in the agenda of the German energy policy, I like always the discussion that we find out what will be the end, where do we have to go through, so thinking from the end, and what will be the next steps towards this energy system of the future. So there's a lot of studies and a lot of scenarios, a lot of discussions, and I hope you can read it a little bit, but it's more about the figures you see, the whole picture. In the first top, you see the greenhouse gas emissions 2030 in Germany. On the right part of this figure, you see the goal 2050, where we have nearly 90%, perhaps 95% greenhouse gas emission reduction compared to 1919. And the question is always how we can manage this path to end in 2045 or 2050 in this greenhouse gas reduction and the growth of renewable energies across all the sectors, and to be at the end climate neutral economy and a strong industry base. This is let me call it the picture at the end where we want to go to. And the step there is the year 2030, where we want to have around about 65% greenhouse gas emission reduction. That will be a big step forward on the way to 2045. To reach these goals, we have to speed up much more the renewable energy. That's why we use RE, renewable energy growth, especially for the power production. And there's a focus at the moment that shifts to heat and cooling that mainly is in the field of buildings, but also some part of the industry. And also the focus is on the change and transformation of the mobility, mainly the mobility with a car and perhaps also on the train-based mobility. So this is the big picture at the end, how we find our way to be at the end on the track of the 1.5 degree goal and compare to be in line with the Paris goals. There are a lot of different scenarios in this way, and perhaps you have also discussed before or we'll discuss later on different scenarios how to reach this 1.5 degree goal at the end of 2044 or 2050. There's one scenario discussion in Germany do we need to be mainly based on renewable power production-based scenarios on the left-hand side with the years 2050, 2030, 2040, 2050. I will not go into detail, but this is one scenario where the base energy supply will be on renewable energy power. There's also another scenario in discussion where this renewable energy will be based or added with power to gas, power to liquid scenario, where we have more transformation from renewables into power to gas or power to liquid technologies. That's another way of solving our problem in Germany as an industry nation or a strong industry nation in the center of Europe. And now, and during the last year, comes up a third scenario discussed about the role of hydrogen, especially green hydrogen. And of course, you also need to produce green hydrogen, a lot of renewable energy power, but that could be placed in Germany, but mainly also placed somewhere else in the world, and to import the same as we do it today with fossil fuels to import green hydrogen. That could be a third solution or a third scenario for the changes we have in the next round about 20-25 years. Basically, all these scenarios are based on to speed up production capacities in wind and power, which are the cheapest and the best known production capacities at the moment from renewable energy. But on the other hand, the same to increase energy efficiency, also in buildings, but also in transport system and the industry. So to have in all the scenarios, we have the discussion about production capacities, renewables, energy efficiencies, and then there will be solution contributions also perhaps from green hydrogen, which is speeding up in Europe and all other parts of the world. There will be contribution with shift to e-mobility, especially in the cars. But I'm quite sure there will be also solution contributions by power to liquid, power to gas for industry, perhaps solutions or other special parts in the economy. What we see nowadays is that this mentioned the war in Ukraine changes the discussion to some part. We had during the perhaps last 5 years always this situation that we thought that natural gas could be a kind of a bridge solution from today into a strong renewable energy system. But now we will look at the problem of security of supply. This has changed fundamentally. So there will be a discussion about to speed up hydrogen, for example, to speed up electrification, and perhaps also to look again at power to gas, power to liquid solutions. Where do we are now? We now just show you the longer perspective. Just to have a first idea, we're very dependent in Germany at the moment on petroleum, natural gas, but also renewable energies. If you look at the primary energy consumption in the last 2 years, so these are the big challenge is to phase down and to change the system from petroleum, from natural gas in the primary energy consumption, more and more to renewables. And the discussion to phase out nuclear is already a long time ago in Germany. What does it mean in the consumption for the industry sectors at the moment? So at the moment we see in the 3 sectors, heating, cooling, power sector, mobility, that heating, cooling in houses, on the private houses, but also in industry, process heating, for example, that we have round about the half of our energy consumption in these sectors. So there's a big topic here to focus on our heating and cooling system in Germany to make this transformation in the long run. We have perhaps 25, a little bit less than 25% of our energy consumption going into the power system. There we have already around about 50%, perhaps a little less, some parts a little bit more, renewables in the system today. And we have a lot of things to do still in the mobility sector. It's also around about 25% of our energy consumption for mobility. So this is why I mentioned the more and more focus nowadays for the next years to come is to change our system in heating and cooling, for example, in buildings, but also in industry, and the focus also to make a transformation our mobility sector at the end to meet the goals on the long run for the change in the energy system. Taking a look at the last topic, I want to make my introduction with the innovation pipeline. To meet these goals 2030 or 2040 or 2050, whenever we look at these next steps in this energy system transformation, we need new solutions, we need new products, we need new technologies coming into our system of energy supply. And that's what I call the innovation pipeline, from energy research, development and innovation to bring it into the market. Quite sure that most of you know this technology readiness level discussion or innovation readiness level. And that's always the question, how can we speed up this process from the idea, from basic research, and to bring it faster to a prototyping, to bring it faster to the first product in the market, and at the end to working products in the market and business cases that are really private, based on private business system and in the competition. So this is the level from idea to the innovation readiness level number 9, products placed in the market, or solutions placed in the market. And for this big challenge we have in the next 10, 15, 20 years, we need a strong innovation pipeline. So we need still strong funding in the field of research, development, but also innovation support in the fields of energy. And I will, just for an example, look into this main strategic element we have in Germany for research and innovation support. That's the German Energy Research Program. It's a long-time history, strategic element of our energy policy for decades now. You can see with the small pictures here, beginning with 1977, and now we have since 2018 the 7th Energy Research Program. It's a common program between the Ministry for Economics and Climate, but also for research and education. It's a budget for more than 500 million euros per year, and it supports the whole value chain of the innovation pipeline, basic research, more closer to the market, research and development, but also innovation programs during the last years. And to give you some ideas, the next 2 slides about this. The primary goal of this research funding is to support this transition I mentioned before, to increase the usability of innovative technologies, because we need new ideas, new technologies, new products, new solutions during the next years to speed up this transformation, also in the field of renewables, but also in the grid or in the hydrogen technologies, wherever you take a look on. We have research on technology and concepts that offers or gets the support that offers a significant increase in energy efficiency, perhaps in the building sector, for example, but also in industry or in the mobility, where we have a better integration of renewable energies, where we have the topic now on the top agenda, ensuring security of supply, but also the focus is to have a rapid or a faster transfer of research results into the market to speed up the innovation channel or the innovation pipeline. The key ideas of this 7th research program that we are technology open. It's a technology open approach to support. We have the flexibility to adapt new trends, for example, sector coupling between heating, cooling, mobility, and power sector, to have regional projects where this integration of sectors will demonstrate or take place already. But also we have always new opportunities for innovative companies in national markets with new technology or new ideas. So it's also a flexible instrument, this 7th research program. We focus on the areas of the end-use sectors. That means, for example, buildings, communities, industries, the industry and the industry mobility. So all the places where energy is used in the end, and where we can perhaps find higher energy efficiency. But also the energy supply and electrical generation, like we have mentioned before, wind or PV technologies, geothermal technologies for combined heat and power. We still have on the agenda system integration with a higher rate of renewables, for example, in the power system, or cross-system research topics like the energy transition and society to bring it in a bigger picture. At the current development, with a focus on the time that's still left, current development is that we are looking for climate-neutral heat supply solutions. So there's always the possibility in this research program to have shifts or to have kind of flexibility for new developments. Coming up to this summary now for this first introduction I want to give you was coming from this general goals in the German energy policy, looking at the long time perspective 2045, 2050, and the innovation pipeline. To sum up, and perhaps there are coming some first question and perhaps some inputs for the next discussions you will have during the day. So we see a new orientation between this, what we call magic energy triangle. At the moment, there's some more focus on the security of supply because of the war and the question about the security of supply of the natural gas. But at the end, this discussion brings together environmental sustainability, economics, and this security of supply. If we always focus on the 2050 goals or 2045 to reduce the use of fossils and to reduce the use of, for example, natural gas much faster than we thought before, and to speed up the growth of, for example, renewable energies or batteries use in the power sector, in the mobility sector, whatever. So at the end, it's a discussion at the moment where can help environmental sustainability and economics to have our security of supply in the same level as we have today. As a consequence of this new global situation and for a path to 2040, 2045, we have to speed up the transformation. And at the moment, we see a lot of new initiatives and programs to speed up these building of renewable energies in Germany, but also to have better integration on the European level, but also to focus much stronger than before on the energy efficiency. Besides this, let's call it classical renewable energies, wind and solar, nowadays with the new government since the end of last year, the heating and cooling, but also the mobility sectors are on the top of the agenda. And so the program you have in this seminar with buildings and decentralized heating and cooling technologies is back on our top agenda in Germany. And that's what we call, perhaps you've heard before, the Wärmewende, the change in the system, how we offer heating and cooling, what we call the Wärmewende, becomes more and more important. And there will be a lot of new initiatives from the government and political level. Especially in the long run, and that's the last point, we need even more filled innovation pipeline. There are a lot of things we have still to change in the power system, but also in the heating system and the way we have our mobility organized in the cities, but also in the way we have trains or the airplanes. So there's a lot of changes that are still not based on the technologies in the market. We know which kind of technology could be possible, but they're not in the market yet. So there's still the need for innovation, policy and research and development, this whole agenda of transforming the energy system. So thank you very much for the first minutes I have and the introduction I could give you. I hope you get some ideas about the discussion we have in Germany. And if there are some questions, I'm quite happy to answer or to try to answer them. And I stop sharing my screen. Hope that works also for you now.